Hey guys, I'm going to present on the book Amina's Voice by Henna Khan, published by Salam Reads, which is a new imprint by Simon & Schuster, which focuses on Muslim literature, and it was just published in 2017, so it's a really recent publication. It hasn't had the opportunity to receive any awards or anything because of how recent it is. This is the author, Henna Khan. She's a Pakistani-American author. I think she's absolutely beautiful. And she was raised in Milwaukee. And she's written a lot of children's books. Here are some of them. These ones the ones you're seeing are for younger children. Amina's Voice is probably like a 5th grade level and up. But these books here are for younger readers. And they're really more informational as opposed to a bigger, larger storyline. Amina's Voice is her first middle grade novel. And I read an interview that was with her, and she said when she was young, she absolutely loved to read, but there's never anything that she could identify with, being a Pakistani American woman, and young girl. There was never any literature that she felt accurately portrayed her life. And so that's part of the reason that she wrote Amina's Voice. She wanted there to be options out there for young Muslim or Pakistani girls to identify with. So I think it's really cool. So Amina is this young girl. She's just started 6th grade. And there are a lot of changes in her life. Obviously, she's moved from elementary school up to middle school. That's a big change. Her best friend, Sujin, is Korean American, and her family, they're about to become American citizens. They're going to go pass their citizenship tests, and Sujin is thinking about changing her name to something that sounds more American. That's something that Amina just can't quite figure out. That's something that she kind of struggles with, some of the change that she deals with throughout this story. This girl named Emily, who in the past wasn't very nice to her and her best friend Sujin, starts hanging around them and wants to be their friend. So she just has all of these normal, young struggles that 11 and 12-year-old girls deal with, these different kinds of changes. To top that off, her uncle, Thaya Jan, moves in with them for a few months, visits from Pakistan. He always wants to speak to her and her family in Urdu, and she doesn't know it very well, and it makes her uncomfortable, and her parents are requiring her to compete in a Quran recitation competition at the school, and she's nervous about that, and she's scared to audition for the solo at school and the choir performance, even though she loves to sing. So there's just all these different things that make her feel a little bit uncomfortable in places that she previously felt comfortable, in her relationships with her family and her friends and music and all these different things. I think it's a really cute story that appeals to girls that age, that 10, 11, 12, maybe even 13, where they just feel like there's a lot of changes, and they're learning to fit in to themselves and to really find their place in the world. I think this book does a really excellent job of capturing the criteria for contemporary fiction. It has a really honest presentation. It doesn't really sensationalize anything or capitalize anything, and it could, being a book about a Muslim American family. I'm just going to read a quick excerpt from the book. This is one of my favorite parts, because I feel like it just really makes things accessible, even to those who are not necessarily familiar with the Muslim faith. She says, "My earliest memory of the mosque is being here with my parents during Ramadan for special nightly prayers when I was 3 or 4. I stood with my mama in my tiny headscarf with sewn-in elastic to keep it in place and tried to stay still. But after a while I'd get bored and wander to the back of the prayer hall and run around with the other kids while different ladies took turns hushing us." So I love how it paints this beautiful picture of her being this, perfect little girl in the mosque, and then she talks about how she'll get bored of it and she runs around with the other little kids. I feel like that's something that a lot of us can relate to. So it has that honest presentation. Things aren't perfect. It talks about how values in contemporary literature are things that we really cherish, and they might be changing a little bit. And this book does a really great job of showing the importance of family and friendship and community. And there's also moments where her parents' values and her uncle's values are a little bit different. There's a difference in tradition and culture, so you can see how some of those values change. Language and syntax. Amina and her family do use some Urdu phrases. They have different greetings and things that they say that keep their characters very realistic. There are some kind of heavier themes that deal with violence and intolerance. Is brought up in a way that is very conversational. It's brought up in a way that is very realistic. And so it is a little heavy, but it is not overdone, and it's not too much for children of that age to accept or to read about. And then hope. And I think that's a part of the reason that some of the violence or heavier themes are dealt with in a really positive way is because there's a lot of hope throughout this story. Hope of a community coming together, hope that things will be better in the future. I just thought I wanted to point out a few of the themes from the story: the importance of family and friendship, change, tolerance, and there is a lot of conversation about Islamophobia. There are some things that happen to Amina and her family that are not positive. People who are very Islamophobic play into this story, but I don't think it's done in a way that overshadows the rest of the story or that makes the book, feel like it's pushing any kind of agenda. It just is how life is for a young Muslim Pakistani American girl. And so I really appreciate that. I think it's important. And so I just want to let you guys know, this is a great book. I really liked it. I would really suggest that you go out and read it and think that it makes a really important and beautiful addition to our voices of young people in this world today. This is a picture I took of myself just a few moments ago, hugging the book to show you guys how much I love it, in my sweats, because that's the beauty of online. I do not have to be dressed well for this, but seriously, this book is excellent, and everyone should give it a chance.